everyone. Glad you could join us tonight. Tonight, we're going to have a pretty exciting event. We got Dr. Joseph Maroon and Dr. Margaret Naser to be on tonight's webinar. All right, so we are now going to introduce Dr. Joseph Maroon, and we will be talking about how light can help the brain and Dr. Joseph's work. So, Dr. Joseph, you want to pull on your video, turn on your video.
Tom, it's a pleasure to be on here with you and also Dr. Nasser. I want to emphasize up front that I'm not the expert in photobiomodulation as Dr. Nasser is, and you. I come at this from a very different viewpoint as a neurosurgeon. And maybe if we could upload my slides, let's see if this
Sure.
works. So for the last 50 years, I've been doing this kind of work in terms of neurosurgery, operating on patients with aneurysms. Traumatic brain injury has been a major part, brain tumors, spinal cord injuries, and obviously very consumed by all this, but always pursuing what the Japanese call kaizen, which is a Japanese term for continual improvement, never being satisfied with the status quo, always looking for different ways, new ways of approaching old problems to make it safer, more efficient. And I have the arrows in my back to show for that. In terms of introducing or trying to introducing new techniques. Slide, please. So in addition to neurosurgery, I've been very interested in sports medicine. I went to Indiana University actually on an athletic scholarship and played football at IU. Anybody heard of IU that's listening on the broadcast? The national champions from last night. It was an incredible football game. But also worked with the Pittsburgh Steelers, was the first neurosurgeon in the NFL, assigned and working with Chuck Noll, subsequent Bill Cowher, and then more recently Mike Tomlin, and also working with the World Wrestling Entertainment, dealing with traumatic brain injury, dealing with sports injuries, spinal cord injuries. Slide, please. And so a question for the audience, why I'm here is, why does an apple turn brown or a banana turn brown if you leave it out overnight? Well, as we all know, it oxidizes. Air interacts with the chemicals in both, and melanin is released, which causes it to turn brown, but basically it causes oxidation. And slide, please. So when something oxidizes, free radicals are created. And this is my interest in photobiomodulation, is mitochondrial biogenesis and what enhances mitochondrial formation. And as we know, we have literally up to thousands of mitochondria in every cell of our body, and they take glucose and oxygen and generate energy, ATP, as well as water and carbon dioxide. But in doing so, they generate free radicals. And what are free radicals? They're molecules with one electron that's missing, so it pulls electrons from other molecules. In the slide, Tom.
Next. Yeah. Okay.
And the free radicals are somewhat like the carbon monoxide or monoxide that comes out of your car's engine in a combustion engine. You take energy, you take fuel, and you burn it, and you have a refuse. And free radicals are somewhat like that, unless they're squelched. Next slide. They cause oxidative stress. So what's oxidative stress? Oxidative stress occurs from excessive free radicals that aren't squelched by antioxidants. And many of you, I'm sure, are taking vitamin C, maybe vitamin E, maybe other kinds of antioxidants that actually squelch oxidative stress, or at least block the free radicals, which, if unblocked, destroy mitochondria and also cause neuroinflammation and lipid peroxidation of the cellular membranes that in every cell of our body, the trillions of cells in our body. So, slide again, Tom. So, what happens with oxidative stress? It damages the DNA, and other causes, smoking, air pollution, radiation therapy, excessive UV light, and simple or metabolic metabolism, all generate free radicals, which destroy the mitochondria, which leads to the neurodegenerative diseases we believe, and I'll explain that we develop as we age. The slide. So oxidative stress, as we stated, results in all of the things that you see here. Mitochondrial damage is probably most significant, but protein oxidation and DNA damage. Slide. So 3 years ago, I began working with a brilliant neuroscientist who is the director of the Indian National Brain Research Institute in Gurgaon, India. And we've published several papers together now. Most significant ones are one in Alzheimer's disease, in which we've shown using magnetic resonance spectroscopy a marked deficiency of glutathione in the brain. And we've also shown the same thing, as you can see here, in Parkinson's disease. Both of these papers, very well recognized peer-reviewed journals. So what we're saying is, in both of these neurodegenerative diseases, there's a deficiency of glutathione in the brain. Slide. So what's glutathione? And glutathione is the primary antioxidant in the brain. So if you don't have enough glutathione or enough of an antioxidant in your brain, the free radicals that are generated by the brain, which is very hypermetabolic, become unsquelched and leads to mitochondrial destruction, and as well as the other things we mentioned. And if you recall, the brain, well, you may not recall, but the brain weighs 2% of the body and utilizes 20% of the oxygen and glucose. So it's a very, very hyper metabolic organ, somewhat like the heart, but even more so than the heart, that generates a tremendous amount of ATP, but also free radicals. As we age, we lose glutathione, just like we lose testosterone, we lose estrogen. There's a defervescence as we become older. And then when you compound that with the dietary choices that many make in terms of processed foods and all the other things that you hear so much about, plus don't eat the right antioxidants, polyphenols, omega-3 fatty acids, and the other things that curcumin that we need, you get neurodegeneration. Slide. So these are the kinds of foods that will enhance the formation of glutathione. The natural vegetables, greens, and blueberries, walnuts, grains, all of these things enhance the glutathione levels and lead to a much better balance. Slide. So what does that have to do? What does that work have to do with photobiomodulation? Well, as the folks I'm sure know better than I, and certainly Margaret does, what does photobiomodulation do? Well, it activates cytochrome C oxidase in the electron chain of the mitochondria and enhances the formation of ATP. It enhances energy production and also nitric oxide, which increases the the dilatation, vasodilatation, and vascular endothelial growth factor uh, in the organs and where it's insulated. So I started off telling you about my own pathology
Right.
uh, in my foot, and I've tried, as I said, I've sought the help of multiple consultants in orthopedics, in podiatry, and I've tried hyperbaric oxygen therapy, maybe not long enough, because I am a believer in hyperbaric oxygen therapy uh,
Helping to heal wounds. Yeah.
for helping heal wounds, and it's very well known to do that. But for me, it wasn't very good. And then somehow I met Tom Kerber. Tom, how did we meet? Did I reach out to you or did you reach out to me?
I
We
think,
were
well, yeah,
connected.
actually through um,
Becky Beshler.
Rebecca. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
Rebecca had
Rebecca.
mentioned, and then I reached out to you, and then we carried on the conversation. As
Well,
soon as I
Rebecca
learned
got,
about your situation, I
yeah,
thought, you got to get the light.
Rebecca is a real authority and practitioner of quantitative EEG and neuromodulation of the brain, which I have a great interest in. Also, in other words, how do we upregulate or downregulate circuits in the 86 billion neuron brain that we have encased in our cranium? What happens that in mental illnesses, in depression, in anxiety, in schizophrenia, what happens in these diseases to our connectome, to the wiring diagram of the brain? How our 86 billion neurons and 100 trillion synaptic connections come together to form networks that can be neuromodulated. We know with transcranial magnetic stimulation, with direct cortical stimulation, transcranial direct uh, cortical stimulation, and also I'm learning with photobiomodulation. So, and I think Margaret's going to enlighten us all on the effects of that, but also mentioning that in my experience in the sports world, uh, as I mentioned, I played football at Indiana University, and I went there 100 years, actually 66 years ago, quite frankly, to be quite honest with you, and was a Scholastic All-American. But I also had multiple concussions. I was 5'6" and 160 pounds and was the smallest guy in the Big Ten. Played and got pummeled pretty hard, but it's bad luck, good luck. I had some significant concussive injuries playing against Michigan, Purdue, Ohio State, and uh, and also neck injuries. Uh, and when I got into medical school and subsequently, that adversity led me into neurosurgery and also a major commitment to what Hippocrates said. He said the first responsibility of a physician is to prevent disease. If that impossible, to cure it, and if that too be impossible, to relieve pain. And when I went to the University of Pittsburgh initially, I had several paraplegic high school kids come in within the first few years I was there, and I was incredibly just futile in terms of what do you do to rehabilitate these people? And then I
Wow.
got interested in cerebral concussions, and we developed the impact test, uh, which has now been used 25 million times and has changed the way concussions are managed in the NFL and all contact sports. Uh, but getting back to photobiomodulation, what might it do in concussions? And when if you Google that, concussions of photobiomodulation, you're going to see several articles, many articles come up that Margaret's going to enlighten us on. And also what happens with too many blows to the head. There's a relationship we know with chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Mhm.
And what can we do there? So I see we're on the frontiers of looking for new therapeutic modalities to treat these diseases. I mentioned hyperbaric therapy, hyperbaric oxygen. I've seen very dramatic results in post-concussion syndrome and also traumatic encephalopathy
Yeah.
and PTSD. Might photobiomodulation be another energy source to neuromodulate the networks of the brain that are awry due to multiple hits to the head?
Right.
So what we're actually doing now, we have a grant from the Chuck Knoll Foundation, Dr. Mandel does, to look at former Navy SEALs, former NFL players, Army Rangers who have had repetitive hits to the head, as well as patients with Parkinson's disease, early Parkinson's disease. And we're going to scan them with magnetic resonance spectroscopy. It's an MRI with special coils to measure the glutathione in the brain. And if it's deficient, replace it with a precursor to glutathione, gamma glutamylcysteine, which is an over-the-counter product called glytine, available from continualg.com, that I take every day myself. And it's a precursor to glutathione, and we believe crosses the blood-brain barrier and should show an increase in glutathione in the substantia nigra and Parkinson's disease and maybe in other parts of the brain in patients with repetitive head injury. So that's my interest. And then, so what we're talking about really, again, is the mitochondria.
Yep.
The mitochondria are the basic power sources of the cell. When they are destroyed, damaged, not functioning sufficiently, we have the symptoms and the pathophysiology of neurodegeneration and the diseases we mentioned. So that's kind of my
Yeah, and do you want to just we'll go show the picture of the of your foot and just
slide, please.
okay.
So this is May of 2024. That's what my foot has looked like for 2 years on the left. And the last 3 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks, whenever you sent me that
Yep.
handheld device, Tom, this is what it looked like yesterday on the right.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. Another week and it probably and it's gonna
I
be
don't know, but I mean, I'm I'm uh, I'm certainly a believer in its use for wound healing in this regard. So
yeah.
I'm
Okay,
gonna,
so yeah, thank you. And we'll go to the next slide and then we're gonna move on to
yeah,
Margaret here.
yeah.
Dr.
So
Naser.
this is I don't know if anybody watched the game last night, but uh, this is this is uh, my dreams when I played for IU, Indiana University, and I had the dubious distinction. If anybody knows anything about the game last night, IU has the most losses of any team in collegiate sport in college football. And
Oh,
I
gee.
contributed to many of those losses. So I participated in the wrong record. Uh, this is what happened last night.
Oh
From
boy.
the
Okay.
slide, from the doormat in collegiate football slide to national champions. For the
Mhm.
first time in the history of IU, and Cinderella story, there's no question, probably the most dramatic turnaround in football and collegiate sports, and certain to be a movie soon. So
Hmm.
thank you very much.
Okay, so now I want to bring on Dr. Margaret Naser. Dr. Naser, if you can turn on your video. Great. There we go. All right. Okay. So, Dr. Naser, I've gotten to know you got to unmute your microphone, but Dr. Naser, it's fantastic to have you on tonight as well. Your
Oh, it's fun to be.
background and your research that you have done is making a difference out there. But you know what? We want more than that. It to make a difference around the world big time. And now is the time for your research to get out there and show people that light can have an impact on the brain. So if you can share your slides, that'd be great.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, good. I just I'm not going to take more than 10 minutes because I know that Dr. Maroon has to leave in 20 minutes. So I'm going to be talking about the chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is a terrible dementia disease that can develop in former football players. And I just have this slide showing you what happens. It's a progressive neurodegenerative disease and is associated with repetitive head impacts as in football. And you get these deposits around the cortex. You can see these on the middle here, these brown dots, and that's a tau deposit. And they're really a problem because you just get more and more. And you can see down at the bottom here, stage 1, there's some, it starts in the frontal lobes and part of the locus coeruleus in the brainstem. And you can see right here under the orbitofrontal cortex, the eye is just under here. So you can imagine all this bang, bang, bang against the forehead in the football players. And it starts out, can be after they've left football, that's for sure. But then it has these stages, and in stage 4, it's all over the brain. The brain is not working well at all. And it starts out and gets worse with emotional outbursts, impulsivity, mood disturbance, depression. Some commit suicide. And Dr. Maroon was in this famous movie, Concussion. We didn't mention that, but he's a neurosurgeon in that movie, all about CTE. And then they have cognitive problems, memory, executive function, etc. So, how are we going to help them? There really are no current treatments that are out there. Now, let's see, how do I get, oh, there we go. So we had 4 ex-football players, and I won't get into too much detail. 3 had played professional football, 1 at college only, ages 55 to 74. And they played for 11 to 16 years football, 35
Wow.
35 to 55 years ago. So we're talking a long time ago. And they're having all these problems now, 35 years later, 55 years later. And NIH, National Institutes of Health, has published a paper by Dr. Katz, a neurologist in Boston here, in 2021 with a long list of authors for defining what is possible CTE in the living. So you don't have to wait for them to die. And then you get the brain at autopsy. And oh, yes, look at that. We have hyperphosphorylated tau in the cortex. So it takes place over several years. I mean, and they follow it for at least 5 years with this decline, which is probably going to result in chronic traumatic encephalopathy and dementia, really. And there's no known current treatments. I'm not going to get into detail here, but we did have 4 players, and they had played, yes, 11 to 16 years. And all of them came to us here 35, 55 years later. Emotional outbursts, depression, all kinds of chronic pain, poor memory, can't sleep. It's a terrible, terrible condition. And we treated them I'm at the Boston VA Medical Center, and we treated them 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 6 weeks. And we started out just with these 500 milliwatt red, near infrared LED cluster heads. We can get into all that later if you want to talk about wavelengths and red versus near infrared. And then later we got a helmet where all these cluster heads are actually embedded in a helmet. We got that from James Carroll. So I'm not getting into too much detail here. And as I said, they were treated 3 times a week for 8 weeks. And then we tested them. We were very careful about post-testing. And we tested at 1 week after the 18th treatment, 1 month after the 18th treatment, and 2 months after the 18th treatment. This is a progressive neurodegenerative disease, and you have to know what's going on after that 18th treatment. And this was our first case, and just to show you how this was going on here. And this is his results. These are his results on PTSD. So I'm going to teach you how to read these graphs. They're going to be all set up the same way. These are raw scores on any test, whatever the test is. And this is PTSD, you know, how severe are your emotional outbursts and that sort of thing. And pre-treatment down here, and then we're going to do a timeline down here, 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, and then 12 weeks treating at home. Because what you're going to see over and over is that pre-treatment, this is really a bad score for PTSD. I mean, anything, this is greater than 36. It's greater than 36 down here is suggestive of presence of post-traumatic stress disorder. So this is pretty bad. This is actually military grade PTSD in our football player here. And so these parallel lines down here say that, or just give the message that, oh, we're treating 3 times a week for 6 weeks. And
So
on.
the PRE dash.
That's pre-treatment. PRETX is.
All right. And so when the line, just for the people looking here, you got the double line there. So there's the period that during that first, up to the first dotted line, going up and down, dotted vertical line.
Yeah, which
that
is
that is treatments going on right up until that point in time.
Until then.
And then
and
then at one, let's say at
week.
the one where it says 1 week, that's 1 week post. So here no longer is the treatments going on, as you see from the vertical,
happened.
that whole period there is no treatment.
No more treatment.
And then you can see where they continually get worse again. And then reintroduce the light one more time, and
at home.
And they improve again.
Not only do they improve again, but they're better than they were when we had treated the whole head with, you know, LED clusters.
Oh, okay. Right.
So they started here and then they went down to less than 27, I guess 26 or whatever. And then they were great. Everybody was so happy 1 week after that 18th treatment. No more PTSD, can sleep, no pain. I mean, it's just, they're so happy. 1 month later, oh, it's creeping back in. 2 months later, the PTSD is back. And that is what drives the participant to do home treatments, because they never want to go back to the way they were before.
Right.
And so this happens to be a different device. It's the V-Light NeuroGamma device. And then treated home for 3 months is what he did. He was supposed to do it 3 times a week, but I don't know. I got an idea. He did it when he wanted, maybe 5 times a week or 7. I don't know. But he comes back and he's the best ever. You see the score right here. Oh, my goodness. And it was the same pattern for him with his depression that disappeared. And the pain, McGill pain, and that disappeared, and it starts back up, and then it goes away again. So he was very happy, as was his wife and whole family. And so this is his executive function cognitive testing, and that you want to go up. So here's the whole head being treated with these little 2-inch diameter cluster heads, red, near infrared, and then 18 treatments. 1 week later, oh, big improvement. Oh, and then it goes down and he treats at home. And now there's an asterisk there after the 12 weeks, 3 months of home treatments. And now it's a significant improvement. And that's the first time we've seen significant improvement since baseline. And this is a continuous performance task for attention. Pay attention. And it's done on the computer.
And in that case, it's the lower scores is better.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that, because it's sort of a combination, timed and correct. And then, oh, well, that was great at 1 week after the 18 treatments of the whole head. 1 month later, 2 months later, he's back to where he started. Then he treats at home. This is called the default mode network, and we can talk more about that if you want, but it's very precise placements of the LEDs. And you have a nose piece also, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then visual spatial memory test and so on. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah, there's just incredible improvement from the red near infrared LED cluster heads, but you can do it just with near infrared alone. So this is what happened to him. So after he fell off, I mean at 2 months here on the right, you can read about it. P1 at 2 months after in-office treatment series started at-home treatment, and this is this Veli neurogamma device. And it's only going to treat certain parts of the brain. And it's diagrammed here. It's mesial prefrontal cortex. You can see that little diode. It's only one centimeter diameter. And it's in the front. This is the most vulnerable part of the brain, according to Rakel. And it's the most demanding for glucose and energy. And you can just see these football players bang, bang, bang against the frontal cortex. Oh dear. And then you have a parietal placement and some others. And here's the nose piece. So we have to go really fast here. So this particular home treatment device is pulsed at 40 hertz. That's 40 pulses per second. And it's based on a study published in Nature in 2016 by Iacarino over at MIT. And originally, you can see all of this beta amyloid, which is another abnormal protein deposit, but different from tau, but that's okay. And they were mice in the study, and they're exposed to this light in the room. It's just room light going in their eyes only, 40 pulses per second. Oh my goodness. After the treatments, look how organized they are. And there's going to be phagocytosis, and they're going to get all those abnormal proteins out of the brain. And so 60% reduction in beta amyloid, that's the main protein abnormality in Alzheimer's disease, and 40% reduction in tau. However, all of this was only for the visual processing area in the back of the brain in these mice, because they only were shining the room light to the eyes. So in any event, the results were similar to a previous study with dementia cases where, okay, everything is great right when you finish the treatment. And this is a test for mini mental state exam. It's really 30 questions. And then as soon as you stop treatment, no treatment in Alzheimer's disease, they plummet. And that's exactly the pattern we saw with our football players. They're going to need constant treatment, I believe, for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Now,
But how much better is that to have constant treatment and then be able to live a real life than going downhill and
oh, I know
committing
it's so sad,
suicide and
awful
everything?
to
Yeah.
watch it, and many do commit suicide, no question about that. Now, this is showing you what happened in a study with at Spalding Rehab Hospital with mild TBI. I can't see the title here because the way my screen is set up, but these were TBI cases that Dr. Maroon had spoken about, traumatic brain injury cases. These are not the football players here. And I want you to see what happens with them. So we'll do trial 4. It's a Stroop test for executive function inhibition switching. And they change the color. And sometimes you're supposed to say the name of the color. And sometimes you're supposed to read the words RED, but it's printed in green. So what are you supposed to do? Say red or green. And so they switch the rules in the middle of the game and all that. So it's the same setup here. This is 50th percentile, and this is pre-treatment as a group. There's 11 of them. And these are traumatic brain injury, car accidents, sports, ski accidents, all that. Treat Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 weeks. 1 week, oh, look, they're at the 50th percentile now. They were more than a standard deviation below to begin with. Now we're not treating. 1 month better, they're continuing. Yeah, so did our football players. But guess what? At 2 months, these TBI cases continue to improve. They do not need more treatments. Very unlike chronic traumatic encephalopathy, where they're just getting worse and falling off the wagon at 2 months without treatments, and then they bounce back. I'm not going to get into
Yeah. So
with
we'll
this. So I just wanted to know you to know that there's a difference between the football players with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is progressive neurodegeneration, versus just traumatic brain injury.
well,
Okay, that's
yeah,
okay.
no, this is
Yeah,
excellent. This is excellent. So right now I'm going to, because of the time
right.
that we have left,
Mhm.
some questions here for both of you that are coming up. So we'll go to, I guess, this one question here. Michael Bradley is asking, have you had any like with treating brachial plexus? And I'll let you guys read that because you want Joe, you want to read that, Dr. Maroon? Oh, you're muted. Sorry, yeah, you got to come off mute. There we go.
Question is any experience with treating brachial plexus, cubital tunnel, which is an ulnar nerve problem, plexopathy with stabilizing motor and sensory nerve cells, and peripheral neuropathy involving the elbow, hand, and fingers using red light or near infrared therapy. I have not had any experience with that, and perhaps Margaret has.
I've treated carpal tunnel syndrome, which is the median nerve of the wrist,
Yeah.
not the ulnar, and we had excellent results with that.
Yeah. Okay,
It's
thank you.
published. Yeah, it's
All
in.
right. Anne is asking, elder patients who fell and hit their head several times, causing concussion, and now having fast spreading dementia, although picking a dessert diet has oh, although
that's
picking
a
a
diet.
dessert diet. Have you seen this currently? Any ideas? Thank you. That's an interesting one with having patients in the hospital or senior center hitting their head. Margaret, as Dr. Naser has done a review of a kid with concussion, and we've been able to see really, really good results with concussions here. And Dr. Naser was able to review one of them. We don't have the time to get into it, but if people want to go back to one of our webinars, you can find Dr. Naser and find her review. Yeah, anyways, other questions for Dr. Maroon or Dr. Naser? Mark Willis is asking, what is the glutathione precursor you mentioned? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, the chemical structure is gamma glutamyl cysteine, but there's only one company that makes it. It's extracted from yeast. It's called glytine, Glyteine. And I have no financial interest in this, but it's available on a website, continualg, as in George.com. And 2 a day, 20, 30 minutes before a meal, morning and evening, is a suggested dosage for it. And again,
so I got a question for both of you. I've heard that inflammation on the brain is quite common across a lot of diseases. Is that your take on things as well? And if we can reduce the inflammation, we could help.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And with, again, repetitive hits to the head, what happens if you get a splinter under your fingernail, what happens? It gets red hot, tender, and swollen because of the white blood cells that release various cytokines and other agents to control the area. In the brain, there are cells called microglia. And microglia are the white blood cells that get transformed to make inflammatory agents, inflammatory cytokines, and lead to neuroinflammation. That leads to a condition called immunoexcitotoxicity, where there's excess glutamate and the synaptic synapses get damaged. And then there are immune cells that are released as well that cause a inflammatory and neurodestructive process. So inflammation is a key to Alzheimer's disease, as well as heart disease, as well as multiple sclerosis to some extent,
Yeah.
and many others. Many of the diseases of aging.
I was surprised to learn that autism, kids or anybody with autism has inflammation on the brain. We've been able to see people with autism helped by just it's not curing the underlying challenge, but they certainly are able to function better when we can reduce the inflammation on the brain. And I was so surprised when one of the young men that comes in here with his caregiver, he whenever the weather changes, to low pressure area, the low pressure system coming through, he just goes wild. And if he goes under the helmet, he's able to reduce the inflammation by the looks of it, and it significantly improved. This is the helmet that if people came in a little bit late, we have the red and near infrared light coming out of it. That's red 660. This is the 810 nanometer right now. That's full. You can't really see it. And yeah, it really does help with the brain. And I know Dr. Maroon has to go, but just one more quick comment here is how about for inflammation on the brain for other roles like concussions, Parkinson's, TBI, other.
All of them have a neuroinflammatory component to it, Tom.
So does that make sense that if you can reduce the inflammation, you can probably improve that situation then?
That certainly is a possibility. I mean, it begins with your diet.
Yes.
You want an anti-inflammatory diet, which is basically a Mediterranean diet. You want to exercise, which markedly helps. You want to avoid environmental toxins, smoking, drinking, alcohol, drugs. You want to control stress, and you want to get enough sleep. Tom, tell us, if you would, on your headset, what
Yeah.
what are the wavelengths that you use there, and what
Yeah.
makes this so unique compared to the other things we see on the market in terms of the power?
Okay, so thank you for asking that. It's a very good question, and that would be on the minds of a lot of people. What we have is a significant amount of optical power coming into this. So when I put my hand in here, I'm actually feeling warmth. It's not heat coming from the modules. It's actually energy that's being converted into some heat in the layers of skin as it goes in. There's some absorption going on. What we've been able to do is this is basically like our palm devices, which we have a very high amount of optical power as well. And same type of thing can be done on the brain in different places. We've had people with strokes and concussions using this device and having but the reason why we're getting such amount of power, as you can see, we have the power, and we have power that can go deep enough. And there's a large area. It's not just a little point of light. It's a large area. So we've on other videos, you can actually see it going through a real human skull. But why we are able to do it is we got special cooling in this system, so we can really crank up the optical power without the LEDs melting down or damaging themselves. Plus, the way we run them, and these LEDs are rated for about 80 degrees C, and they get a certain life out of them. But if you run them even a little cooler, they'll give you like 50,000 hours for the next you could be going daily treatments for the next 40 years kind of thing. So what we've got.
So what that you're using 810?
Yeah, 660. We use 660 because it does go through the skull and would create extra blood flow on the inside wall of the skull. And then we use 810, which is definitely going to go far deeper, or 1050. This happens to be our 1050 Super Palm, and you can see this here. But when I look at it, it's totally invisible to my eye, but the camera is picking it up. There is one little light there that tells you it's working. Otherwise, people wouldn't even know it's on. But you can feel the energy coming from it. And the big thing is if a penetration, if you
what's
had
the wattage? What's the wattage that you're?
Oh, so I've got anywhere from, depending on the model, anywhere from 6,000 milliwatts total optical power up to about just under 9 optical watts, or 9,000 milliwatts. So that's a lot of power, and our power density is on the range of 150 to 180 milliwatts per square centimeter over this entire area. So it's very, very even. So it's not like with working with lasers that you'd have to worry about a hot spot. It's so even, the light, it doesn't create any hot spots. So that's why we've got a significant amount of optical power. That's why we can do these treatments with the helmet. We're getting success with 1 minute of the bright red, and that's the bright red, and then 3 minutes of the near infrared. And we've been able to see how we can reduce inflammation on all kinds of issues on, it looks like, on the brain. And I'm so excited to work with both of you, because Dr. Maroon and I are going to work together on another study that will be able to show, we want to be able to see real proof, not only anecdotal, that, 8 out of 10 people that come through here are see an improvement in their brain, but we want to see it in a study format. And I know, Dr. Maroon, you can help me with that. And so Dr. Naser has been great to be able to work with as well. And she did the one presentation on the concussion, and somebody came up with a question there about strokes. And we've seen beautiful results with strokes. I had one person in particular, one day he was slurring his speech really badly, and that was going on for 2 months after the stroke, and did one light treatment under the helmet. And I don't know if that's inflammation or rewiring of the brain, but one treatment, and he was able to speak clearly the next day. We had another person that was 20 years of speaking poorly, and one treatment, and he was able to see a significant change. And then he didn't do any more treatments, like Dr. Naser is saying. Some of these people are going to have to keep doing them for the rest of their life. And the cognitive changes that we've been able to see, one person who will be on one of my webinars, he's a researcher, and his work is highly qualified. His scientific work that he's done in the lab was presented with the U.S. Senate. But ever since a kid, he's had trouble with really, really bad stuttering, very bad. And he used the helmet for 2 months, and he was able to do a whole webinar without having severe stuttering problems. And then he'd stop doing it, and he lost ground over 2 weeks, and he came back pretty quickly to come back under the light. So there's a couple of effects there. Chris is asking you, wow, there's a long question here. I don't know. I know you have to run. I'm just going to say, if you want to answer this, great. If you want to, anybody who wants to ask questions can send their questions to info@SunPowerLED, and we'll make sure we forward them along. But I'm concerned about your time there, Dr. Maroon.
Yeah, Chris Kitchen, he's going to help me here, Chris. If you're listening, I'd love to contact you.
Okay, so Chris, if you can send your email, well, you send us an email at info@SunPowerLED. That's info@SunPowerLED, and we'll make sure we get it forwarded on to Dr. Maroon. Add your phone number there as well, so the two of you connect. You know what? There's another question by Dinah. I'll just say it's amazing, the light, what it can do about all kinds of things, whether it's the bottom of your foot, Dr. Maroon, or whether it's some hair growth. I've had people help them with hair growth, and pretty much anywhere in between, because you can help the mitochondria by using the light. And we have the optical power to be able to go deep enough. So that's the difference. It's no sense, taking out your flashlight or torch, as they call it in England, and shining it on your hand for a deeper injury. You might help some skin cells, but when you want to really have something that you need, we've got a medical device. I'm not a doctor, but I have been able to work with beautiful doctors, like Dr. Naser and Dr. Maroon, who is coming to this knowledge or have this knowledge and growing. And we're all growing. We're all learning things that, we had thyroid issues. We've been able to see improvements. So autoimmune disorders, it's really wild, all the different things that it's possible that the light therapy can powerful red light therapy can help. So we'll definitely get that on to everyone. I am so thankful, Dr. Maroon, for you coming on, and Dr. Nasser, if you want to hang around for a few more minutes, there might be another question or two, but thank you, Dr. Maroon, for coming on tonight. This was fantastic. It was eye-opening to a lot of people. I believe that this message is going to go out far and wide, and a lot of people are going to be helped. So thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. Thank you. Okay. Take care now.
Yeah. So, great. So if there's any other questions there, otherwise we're going to wrap it up pretty quickly here.
I had a couple of comments.
Okay, go for it. Yes, please.
Just because, okay, there was a question about a woman whose mother, I guess, was in a nursing home and she kept falling and hitting her head.
Right.
And would this be helpful for her? Yes, it should be if they can get a device that they can treat, at home. I mean, you could get this, you can get your
Palm
Palm,
light.
Super
Yeah.
Palm 1050 or whatever, and put that on her head because she's getting repetitive head impacts, and that's not really good for the brain. So I would be optimistic that you could get changes if you can't afford this or go there and do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for at least 6 weeks and see what you find. Then you could get the home treatment device that V-Light sells. I mean, I don't have any financial conflict of interest with any of the companies, but V-Light, VIELIGHT, does make a home treatment device that you could put on her head, and that could happen there.
Right.
And then let's see, there was another question.
And there's so many people that are
Stroke.
thanking you for being on, Dr. Nasser and
Oh, that's very
Dr.
sweet. Oh, my pleasure. The other question was with stroke. I've done a lot of work for decades in brain imaging, CT scans and MRI scans and whatnot. And I just would mention that we seem to get our best results when, for example, if someone has a stroke on the left side of the brain, which is where language is located in 90% of people, they'll have a language problem called aphasia, APHASIA, aphasia. And what we learned, and we did publish a paper on this, that with these cases where the stroke, with either an occlusion of a blood vessel, maybe arteriosclerosis or something, or it was a bleed even, and we're in the chronic stage, so we're real trying to help this patient. Only treat the side of the head where the stroke occurred inside the brain. So if it's on the left, then you're only going to put your LEDs on the left side of the brain to help get language back. Because when a patient has a stroke on one side of the brain, the other side becomes very overactive, trying to compensate so hard, trying to compensate, but making things worse. And you can make things really worse if you treat both sides of the brain, because then they're going to be in competition with each other. And if you treat the side where there's no stroke at all you do is make it even worse. It just gets worse and worse. So try to just find out which side of the brain the stroke occurred on and treat that. And you can do it with this device.
There's a couple people that have raised their hand, and unfortunately, the best way is for us to answer a question that might be still lingering between Gary and there was another individual, is to type out the message. If you don't get a chance to type it out right now, send us an email and we'll be glad to be able to do this. And the question was about migraines. I'll just say I've had significant results with people using the helmet with migraines. If it is possible for a person to try and find the trigger point and be able to treat that trigger point with the light specifically if they know where it is. But a lot of people don't know, and so they've used the helmet over the whole brain and what we have here. And we have been able to see, and that's the same thing a person can do with this. It just takes a lot longer to treat the whole brain. And we have been able to see we did 1 minute red, 3 minutes near infrared, and seeing the migraine reduce quite a bit. And we've then done what we did is do another round of 1 minute, 3 minutes, and migraine almost totally disappeared. And we've seen this over and over and over again with migraines and headaches. So it seems to take a little longer for some reason with migraines or headaches, but we've been able to see that kind of proof. You had another comment there, Dr.
I
Nace.
wanted to go back to stroke just
Yeah.
for a second because, all kinds of different problems, not just language, but paralysis in stroke patients. And I have a friend who lives in Santiago, Chile, and she had a stroke on the left side of her brain and went on, she had all kinds of problems for a year and so on, including spasticity in her hand. She had a right-sided paralysis in the arm, the hand, and the leg on the right side with the left hemisphere stroke. And she used this. The Super Palm 1050, and she could get it in the hand and it would then open the hand. It didn't have to stay spastic anymore. You could get it open and then she could begin to use it. It's just been unbelievable. She's so shocked. And her physical therapist in Chile never heard of such a thing. And so we're hoping that maybe the physical therapist in Santiago, Chile, will become interested in using this light therapy to have paralysis in the stroke patients. And it's really very good to help open up the arm and the fingers and the hand and treat the leg as well. So I just wanted to mention that because it's very good for paralysis in stroke.
Yeah, and again, Matthew, if you want to pop in a question, otherwise we're running out of time here. I just again, I think I'm going to close it up now. So if you have a couple housekeeping things here is thank you, Dr. Nacer, first of all, for coming on tonight. That was fantastic. We got a lot of thank yous going to you for being on and also for Dr. Maroon. So I'll just do a little bit of at the very end here. So we do have these lights, the palm lights. You can find them on the web on our SunPower LED channel. Or if you go to the YouTube channel, you can please, if you go to the YouTube channel, I'm suggesting you go there. But I would really appreciate if you watch a video, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. It's really important for people to find out about us. And our next webinar will be next Tuesday. I'm not sure exactly the topic yet, but we'll get there. And what else? So we have the different palm devices. Go to our SunPowerLED website. And, when we were talking, I'll just say one final comment as we're looking at the brain, how incredibly intricate it is, everything that connects every which way. And, more and more people are coming to the knowledge as we dig deeper and deeper into things about the body that I believe the brain is designed. It's been designed so beautifully. It's just that we mess it up with all these concussions, right? And do things to it and get drugs in our body and contaminants. And if we didn't have all that stuff, how well would our brains work, right, Margaret?
Oh, really? The contaminants are a problem. That's for sure. Yeah.
So, well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And may God richly bless everyone that joined us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.